Israel has ramped up its attacks on civilians. You have Israeli officials openly saying now that they're targeting civilian infrastructure. I mean, obviously, they have already targeted all civilian infrastructure in Gaza in terms of buildings, but they're targeting civilian infrastructure. And it's been quite clear they've been doing this for a long time, but they're now explicitly saying they're going after nurses and doctors and aid workers and EMTs. They are now unabashedly sort of embracing the genocide. You hear some former Israeli politicians and officials calling it genocide. They're accusing Netanyahu of going off the rails, as it were. Of course, very conveniently ignoring the fact that polls in Israel now show the general population is in favor of ethnic cleansing. They're in favor of the brutality that their government is engaging in. And during his trip to the Middle East, Trump apparently got some pressure from some of the Arab leadership. Doesn't seem like much, though, but enough for him to say there should be food going in. Israel said, okay, we will send some food aid in, insisted on being control of the program. The number of trucks that they brought in, not even woefully insufficient. I mean, clearly just for show. They barely reached any of the people there. And this is a picture of crowds at an aid distribution site.
Yeah. So, I mean, they initially had, just after that visit with Trump, let in something like half a dozen trucks, which was basically a troll. It was to say
it's like literally 1% of what they need on a daily basis.
And Ben-Gvir was saying, or maybe it was Smotrich saying, this is literally just for
show,
optics. Yeah.
Yeah. There was mockery. It was about, haha, we'll give you a taste. And then there was more backlash. And then now this effort has ramped up for the United States and Israel to control humanitarian aid that's going into Gaza via something called the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, which has been decried by the United Nations as not essentially a sincere effort to get aid in and basically using food as a weapon of war. And then you see images like this. So there are still crowds of people in Gaza still desperate for food. So even if the United States, via their military contractors, are handing it out, people are going to flock to it, and they're being fenced in. What does this image, seriously, what does this image remind you of?
It's like cattle. And the head of the executive director of the Humanitarian Foundation stepped down just yesterday, I think it was, when I think even for his perspective, it became clear that this is just a mechanism in which the military is going to start to it's some type of honeypot or pick people off. We're unclear.
Do you remember that there were in the past accusations that Israeli drones had been playing in Arabic cries of "help me, help me"? Maybe this was a year or so ago, to draw Palestinians out so that they could kill them. This is a bit of a version of that, where it seems like this is a honeypot, as you were saying, to get Palestinians in one place and corral them for slaughter. And Jeremy Scahill reported this morning that there's already been a report of a Palestinian who's been kidnapped when they were going to pick up boxes of food. And Al Jazeera was reporting that there's been gunfire, presumably from the Israeli side, at these aid checkpoints. So we still have inadequate information, but it stands to reason that given it was, I think, 2 resignations now from this Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, that basically they're...
No one wants this on their resume.
Right. that this is not a sincere and earnest effort to get food to people.
And remember, Wood made it clear when he took on this project that this was not going to be a mechanism to ethnically cleanse Gaza, and now he's resigned.
The Flower Massacre.
But
Yeah. Right.
listen to this complete left-wing nut job where she gets on and talks about how what's actually going on in terms of the humanitarian aid. I give you Cindy McCain, former or wife, I should say, of the late neocon John McCain.
Catastrophe occurs.
Your organization announced at least 15 of your trucks were looted when they entered southern Gaza en route to bakeries. Israel has consistently said that the looting is being carried out by Hamas. Have you seen evidence that it is Hamas stealing the food?
No, not at all. Not in this round. Listen, these people are desperate, and they see a World Food Program truck coming in, and they run for it. This doesn't have anything to do with Hamas or any kind of organized crime or anything. It has simply to do with the fact these people are starving to death. And so we will continue to go in. We will continue to go in with food and the kinds of supplies that we need to help the bakeries operate and make sure that we can continue to do that and hopefully be able to do more of it. But again, we can't do this unless the world community puts pressure on this. We can't be allowed to sit back and watch these people starve to death with no outside diplomatic influence to help us. These poor souls are really, really, really desperate. And, having been in a food riot myself some years ago, I understand the desperation very well.
Well, 5 days ago, Prime Minister Netanyahu vowed to take control of all of Gaza, which seems to be a shift from going in, carrying out raids, and then withdrawing.
No, it doesn't.
We've seen the Pope speak out. We've seen the leaders of France, of Canada, of the UK calling the cutting of aid egregious. Netanyahu said criticism like that is feeding Hamas and really feeding anti-Semitism. What do you make of that pushback from him, that criticisms of the state are feeding hate?
What I do know is they're not feeding people. And the most important part of this is that's what we're supposed to be doing. I'm very grateful for anyone, the Pope, any of the folks that did shout out and say, listen, we need to get more in. But I can't tell you as to exactly what Netanyahu's thinking or anything else. What I do know for a fact is that we need food to get into Gaza to avoid an utter catastrophe.
We already know thousands have starved to death. You just need to see the images of the children that are, if they're not, half of their head is blown off, then some of them are just completely emaciated. It's good that the news is starting to pick up on this, because this quote, it just shows that the Israelis don't take human life seriously. They say, this is a top Israeli official. We are fighting human animals and we act accordingly. We are imposing a complete siege on Gaza. There will be no electricity, no food, no water, no fuel. Everything will be closed.
Was that Gallant, like early?
Oh, right. That was 2 days after October 7th.
Yeah.
So everything that it sounds like Netanyahu's not earnest about not wanting to ethnically cleanse the Gaza Strip. That sounds like they actually are interested in starving these people to death,
Maybe
killing
the
them
students
all.
were right.
Maybe just have some sort of reflection on this. But as you know, with the Iraq war stuff, it seems like many of our members of the media will just go about unscathed after just completely midwifing this genocide.
Oh, and then 2 or 3 years later there'll be some type of mild mea culpa. And we're going to need to see that, I think, with politicians as well, or we will, I imagine. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.